So, Cindy, I just referred someone to you not too long ago
Hmm.
and found out through one of our other referral sources that you did indeed work with this family. They reached out to you, and I'm so glad they did. It was a very unique situation with this client.
Yes.
They had actually reached out to me a few months earlier, and in so many conversations with our families, we encourage them not to wait for the crisis or the last
Hmm.
minute need, but it took them a minute to kind of filter through who they were ultimately going to work with. And they did choose Gently Guided. And we were able to help this gentleman whose wife had been in skilled nursing for some time. So, in a very unique situation where she moved out of her home because of a need, a medical need, and she didn't return to her home. So when I
Hmm.
toured this family to see a community, he was making that decision and he was feeling very overwhelmed with what am I going to do? How am I going to manage this move? And I want to kind of find out how that went for you to help him in an urgent need to get him organized and out of his property because additionally, wasn't he, his lease was going to be up.
Hmm.
So he had
Yes,
to move by a
exactly.
very specific date.
Right, right. And when he came to us, it was the beginning of the month, and the original move out date was the end of the month.
Mhm.
And then after just a couple of days of talking with them, it accelerated that he had to be out in 5 days.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, it was down and dirty and really quick. But we have the people available to do this, and we do it all the time. We can do it in our sleep, and so we just reinforced and brought over a whole troop of people. And he was just a really lovely person, and it was a unique situation. As you said, his wife was being rehabbed and was never going to be coming back to that same place. So we thought a lot about that as we were packing,
Mm,
because it was hard for him to, he's 92 years old. He doesn't even know really what they have in this house. So every time we opened a cupboard, he'd say, "Oh, that's a surprise," because he hasn't looked in there in so long. So we made us a few special boxes for his wife of things that we thought she'd want to access right away, not having been
mm.
home for some time. And then as we went through, all their memories and photos and things, we just tried to choose really carefully. They also went from a large space, which is really common,
Oh
into a
yeah.
much smaller place
Yeah.
with no storage. So we
Yeah.
had to be very thoughtful about what went with them and what we let go. Um, and he was so great about that. And he really understood, even like lack of wall space. They had all sorts of art on the wall, and he knew, well, we really only have one wall that's going to be able to have art on it. So let's choose. So we showed him everything. He made his choices, and we were able to pass along the rest of it. So it was more of a unique situation, but it's an example of our flexibility and customization that we do for each client, and being able to keep pace with a changing timeline, which can be challenging, but we can pull it off. So
I have a question for you, Cindy. Did
yeah,
you go and see the space that he was moving into?
we did not.
Okay.
No, there
Um,
was no time, unfortunately, but he described it to
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And yeah, his nephew, who was advocating for him, also gave us a really good idea of that. And the nice thing with Mr. Evans was that he was really aware of the limitations of that new space.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're going from big to small, um, a lot of clients will think that they either need a lot more than they actually need, or that they can fit in a lot more than they can actually fit in. And we've had cases where we've had to go back and take things away and put them in storage, or just, donate them, or whatever the case may be. He was really aware that they did not have a lot of room. So he was great in terms of shedding. A lot of times it's very hard for people to let go of things. He didn't have a problem because he knew there just wasn't going to be any room for it.
One of the pieces that I was trying to be very mindful with regarding his needs was that budget was a big concern. And
Hmm.
so, we had to pivot a little bit on what his option would be. to live in, and
Right.
also who I was going to refer him to, because I knew that you guys would be able to support him and work within that budget range for him. So thank you for that.
Of course. Yes, we do try to keep our rates really reasonable and affordable, especially for our older clients. Most of them are on a limited budget. Um, and we can always make it happen. We will figure it out, because sometimes they just really don't have the resources, period. Um, we work hard to make it happen because we know that they need it. And, it's a very physical job too, to
Yes,
be packing all that stuff up and make sure you're labeling it correctly. And, it's not something a lot of older people can do.
that's right.
So we really try to bear that in mind, and we will always do our best to make it happen, no matter what.